speaking of moments, you've been, as you mentioned, your career with the Fever. First six, though, were tough, obviously. They weren't as easy. You guys have made the playoffs the last two. What's been the big turnaround? How have you viewed the way the team has grown organically?
Kelsey Mitchell has finally spoken, and this time, she didn't come with polished lines or media-safe cliches. After months of silence filled by recycled press quotes and endless speculation from insiders, the veteran heartbeat of the Indiana Fever gave fans exactly what they'd been waiting for: raw honesty. She didn't just respond to a question. She detonated a truth bomb that still has the WNBA scrambling to unpack its meaning. Every word carried intention. Every pause carried weight. In that moment, Mitchell proved that leadership isn't about being the loudest voice in the room. It's about speaking with conviction. What she delivered wasn't mere commentary. It was a statement strong enough to shift the conversation around Caitlin Clark, the Fever, and the league itself.
Again, Caitlin, who changed the world, changed the dynamic of basketball. And as a friend and as a player, you better appreciate her because, certain doors have opened because she's come to the Fever, and you have to respect that. And I love the teammate and person in her because she's accepted it with so much grace and even welcomed us with open arms to, make this thing happen. So I think it just took a lot of big pieces to make,
The real debate now is this. Was Mitchell simply showing admiration? Was it the first spark of a professional rivalry? Or was it something far larger? A sharp, calculated, and refreshingly honest teammate evaluation that just redefined what authenticity looks like in pro sports? That's the question fans can't stop dissecting today. But before we unravel her words, let's zoom out and ask something even bigger. Has Caitlin Clark not only changed women's basketball, but also reshaped how the entire world views the game? Are we standing at the edge of the most important turning point in modern sports history? Is Caitlin Clark the needle that moves it all? Drop your thoughts in the comments below.
You've changed the world in so many ways. You've done it with so much grace. And I'm so happy to take the floor with you, to be a part of this experience. I want to tell you to give yourself some grace, kid. You've done a lot of things that not a lot of people can do. And from me to you, I'm always going to be a fan. I'm always going to be in your corner. I'm always going to be in your backcourt.
That's the magnitude of the question. And Mitchell's words have dragged it squarely onto the table. It's exactly why her voice carries such weight. Because here's the reality. Mention the Indiana Fever anywhere, anytime, and you already know what's coming. The Clark question. It's as inevitable as the sunrise. Doesn't matter if a player is breaking down defensive schemes, talking about their pregame routine, or even commenting on the weather. The conversation always circles back. But what about Caitlin? That's the gravitational pull of Indiana basketball now. Only this time, the person answering wasn't a role player dodging the spotlight. It was Kelsey Mitchell.
But you've been with Indiana through the thick and thin. You've been with them since, we was talking, we about to go get our rhythm on Indiana. You've been there, you stuck through until now being in the semifinals. What does that feel like? And for people watching, girls, boys, if they athletes, not athletes, what does it feel like to stick through something and now see it come into full flow?
And that matters more than most people realize. Mitchell isn't just another name on the roster. She's the Fever's survivor. For years, she was the lone flame flickering in the dark, dragging Indiana through seasons so bleak they were almost unwatchable. This is the same Mitchell who carried a team that managed only 5 wins in an entire year. The same Mitchell who endured a carousel of coaches, 5 and 8 seasons. While opponents circled Fever games on the calendar as an easy night, a stat-padding session, a chance to rest their stars. She was the one left to shoulder the defeats, trot out polite cliches for the cameras, and pretend there were building blocks after yet another 24-point drubbing. That was her reality. She wasn't just playing basketball. She was pushing a boulder uphill every single night.
Has made the playoffs the last two. What's been the big turnaround? How have you viewed the way the team has grown organically?
Oh, man, I think a big shout out to the organization taking time to rebuild. I think our draft picks end up a draft pick, and then you get Caitlin, and then you get AB. And so You culminate that together with, my experience and having to, go through a couple things before they got there. I think it was just like a match made in heaven, really, because I was, still at a young age to really get to know these players for who they were. And then you bring in Caitlin, who changed the world, changed the dynamic of basketball. And as a friend and as a player, you better appreciate her because, certain doors have opened because she's come to the Fever, and you have to respect.
So when Kelsey Mitchell finally spoke about Caitlin Clark, you knew immediately. It wasn't just lip service. This wasn't the typical "she's great, she helps the team" type of soundbite. Mitchell doesn't deal in rehearsed PR fluff. What she gave us was raw, unfiltered, and forged by years of surviving in the league's basement. And in doing so, she confirmed what everyone sees but few have dared to say aloud. Caitlin Clark hasn't just changed the Fever. She's reshaped the entire basketball ecosystem. Mitchell's words landed like a tectonic shift. Clark has changed the world, changed the dynamic of basketball itself. Let that sink in. That's not a compliment. It's a seismic admission from the one player who had every reason to be bitter. The cornerstone of the Fever, the veteran who endured irrelevance and pain, looked straight into the camera and essentially declared, "Without Caitlin, none of this happens." The sellouts, the primetime slots, the international spotlight, all of it.
You were an MVP finalist this year with our own Chiney Ogwumike even saying that you had the best season of any guard this year in the league. What has it been like to get that kind of recognition and get your flowers?
Oh, I appreciate it. I've been to a lot throughout the course of my career with Indiana Fever. It's been like my longest, ever. So it's for me, it's a humbling experience to kind of see myself make what it is now. And just kind of respect the game, lean on the game as far as creating bonds and friendships. And now you get to see us do that now, a couple years later.
What makes Mitchell's statement so powerful is the complete absence of jealousy. No bitterness in her voice, no passive-aggressive edge, no trace of resentment, just pure, genuine respect. That's what makes her words stand out in a league often clouded by egos and rivalries. She didn't diminish herself in the process either. This wasn't surrender, it was balance. Mitchell reminded everyone, subtly but firmly, that before Caitlin Clark arrived, she was the one carrying the franchise. She was the one grinding through the darkest years, laying the foundation so Clark would even have a stage to shine on. And that's an undeniable truth. Mitchell is the reason the Fever didn't collapse into total irrelevance. While the league overlooked Indiana and opponents used them as stat-padding nights, she was the one powering the franchise's identity. She wasn't just keeping the lights on, she was the generator keeping the entire building from shutting down. Now, in 2025, that loyalty is finally paying off, not just in box scores, but in legacy. Mitchell didn't simply acknowledge Clark's impact. She elevated it, while simultaneously reaffirming her own. That's the brilliance of her statement. It wasn't about sides, it was about perspective. It was about reminding everyone that true leadership doesn't fear competition. It embraces it. And that's why her words still echo. Not because they were flashy, not because they were dramatic, but because they were real. In a league where jealousy, bitterness, and petty shots, whether it's Aya Wilson throwing shade or Cheryl Swoops taking digs, too often dominate the narrative, Mitchell flipped the script. She proved that respect and truth-telling can coexist, that you can recognize a generational star like Caitlin Clark without shrinking your own legacy. In doing so, she delivered exactly what the WNBA craves most: authenticity.
And it's an unbelievable experience. It's a moment that I don't want to, take for granted. I want to cherish it as much as I possibly can. Like I said, I want to use this moment to as a moment to not grow. And so hopefully the mental preparation that I've been through and the things I've been through can kind of help me get through these moments. And then just, loving basketball for what it is and just, loving the game and having fun with it.
Kelsey Mitchell's reflections can't be fully appreciated without rewinding the Fever's journey. When Lexi Hull first arrived, Indiana was still the league's punchline. Wins were scarce, losses expected, and the franchise sat on the margins of relevance. Mitchell was the one left smiling through press conferences, spinning talk of building blocks, while the team barely scraped together 5 victories in a season. She dressed futility and optimism, all while carrying a weight everyone else could see. Then came Aaliyah Boston, a post-powerhouse who planted a flag in the wasteland. For the first time in years, Indiana had something that looked like a foundation. And then came Caitlin Clark, a supernova who didn't just bend basketball, but the entire sports media universe to her will. Overnight, the Fever weren't a punchline. They were headline news. Through it all, Mitchell never sulked, never complained, never asked out. She adjusted. She embraced the reinforcements. She recognized that this wasn't a threat. It was the long overdue shift she had been waiting for. And that's why her endorsement of Clark carries so much weight. Mitchell has lived both versions of this franchise. She knows what irrelevance feels like, and she knows what sells tickets and changes culture.
The teammate and person in her, because she's accepted it with so much grace and even welcomed us with open arms to, make this thing happen. So I think it just took a lot of big pieces to make, what it is now.
What has it been like? Because certainly the world has been focused on her. But what has it been like as a teammate? Because sometimes people are stepping to her, but I feel like you guys are stepping right back in those situations.
I think it's just it's competitive nature, man. You know how it goes. It's just competitive nature. I think that we want to fight to, love on our team and be who we are and respect the game at the same time. So I think it's a lot of just competitive nature at the end of the day.